Okay, here's a good place to find charts. Aeroplanner.com. Here's one of the approach plates that you can actually download for free. This is Champaign, Illinois. And we're going to pick up the localizer channel 109.1. And ideally, we'd fly to the Numai intersection, that little triangle right there. Then take a heading of 271 degrees toward the approach. So from that point, of course, we can then just wander right on down that approach, right on to runway 32 left. And of course, we're going to do this with the help of an autopilot and that ILS signal. So let's have a look at it. We're out here sort of bopping around. There's the ILS 109.1 I'm showing on the GPS. We're going to use the GPS as a reference. There's the airport, there's the approach in green, and there's us. So the GPS, we're not flying by GPS, but we're going to use it as a reference. Now here's my autopilot. I'm going to be flying a heading at 250. And I've got altitude hold on. I'm flying a little low right now, about 2,000 feet. Nonetheless, I was out here goofing around, and this ought to work out anyway. It's just for demonstration. So we're just bopping along. Once again, we'll do a little reference check here. And there's the approach. There's us. We're flying toward it pretty nicely. And somewhere out there is the airport. I actually see the little VASI visual approach slope indicator since it's a nice day. And there is the glide slope and the localizer. That's the localizer. And the glide slope's that somewhat horizontal bar. And then the little circle in there is us. Now we're shown here below the glide slope and to the right of the localizer. And once again, I can actually see the airport over there. And sure enough, we're to the right of that approach. I'll zoom in a little bit and you can see us. We're headed right toward that ILS approach. I lowered a little flap there. We're going to do that because we want to start to slow the airplane down into pattern speed. I've actually got the gear down now too. So we're continuing on. Now at some point, what I'm going to do, since I'm getting close to this, we're going to engage the autopilot. Notice we're still below the glide slope and to the right of it. And we're getting closer. I added a little more flap. And I don't think we're... Yeah, there we are. Okay. Airspeed, about 120. And that's fine in this plane. Got some flap in there. Let's bring the autopilot up. I'm going to go ahead and switch it from a heading lock to the approach hold switch. There it is. Now on this autopilot, I can actually turn off the elevation hold switch because the approach hold actually takes care of that, at least on this one. All these autopilots are a little different. Whoop, there we're starting to turn already. Look at that. What's happening is the autopilot is being engaged by the instrument landing frequency, that 109.1. It's going to start to make us turn. I'm not doing the turning at all. So around we come. You can see us on the GPS coming right on around. Meanwhile, I'm checking things like airspeed, power settings. There's the airport again right ahead. And looks like we're going to start to line up along the localizer portion of the beam. Now we've got to take care of so you can see that, the needle centered, the vertical needle centered right over us, that little circle. And now what we're going to do is fly level. We're still under the glide slope. But as we approach the glide slope, we're going to watch that glide slope indicator start to come down and center itself. We're going to actually intercept the glide slope. Watch what's happening. It's starting to do it. Take a little patience. Watch what's going on. And of course it's a nice day, so we can actually see the airstrip. Now we're getting closer. See that needle start to drop? Well, it looks like we got some crosshairs now on that indicator. Look at that. Now what happens when we actually engage the glide slope, when the autopilot does, it's going to make a pitch attitude adjustment in the plane. Look at it. I'm not bringing the nose down. It's the autopilot that's done that. It's responding to the signal on the instrument approach. My airspeed's picking up as a result of it. So what I'm going to do is start to deploy some more flaps. And in fact, I'm going to come back on my power. I'm at 20 inches now. I'm adding a lot of flap, because I'm a little fast. This airplane you can make, with the weight configuration I got, about 100 miles an hour is quite okay. Added a lot of flap. Coming back on the power, I'm actually down to about 15 inches. Notice what's happening. We're slightly above the glide slope, but actually what's happening is the autopilot's still responding to the ILS signal. What I'm doing is I'm managing my power setting, so I maintain a reasonable airspeed on the approach. And example, if I were to start to settle too much, I'd add some power. Otherwise, the autopilot would just crank the nose way up on me to try and hold on to the glide slope. There we are, about 109. We're doing good. It's still holding on to everything. Look at the runway out there, about 106. That's great. Right now, the way this plane's configured, it can float. Got 50% fuel tank. Crew of 12. In we come. Again, the autopilot is pulling us down. I should say the ILS signal is pulling us down. Look at the GPS. You can see where we are reference head. Now, I'm close enough where I'm actually going to shut the autopilot off, take the plane over manually, and do a landing with it. Here we come. Down we come. Nice thing about it is we were already trimmed basically for a landing approach. I'm going to flare just slightly and just come on. Actually, I'm going to touch down at, believe it or not, about 90 miles an hour. I'll start to bring the flaps up and just roll on. That was nice, wasn't it? It's a nice gentle ride in this plane. It's a great airplane. Stable. Now, you really want to use the ILS and practice with it in this kind of weather. This is really more exciting. Guess what? You can't see anything. I'm only running the last portion of the approach here just to give you an idea of what it's like and how important good instrument flight is. As you can see, you can't see a thing. Oh, there's a little ground down there, but basically what we're paying attention to are the instruments. The approach, the glide slope, the localizer, airspeed, engine settings. We want to make sure that we know where we are with this thing as we come in. At some point, you can see the approach lights. There they are. And shortly after that, ooh, okay, you may not notice it, but there's a little red light that came on the panel there. That's the inner marker, telling us that we crossed over the inner marker. There's the threshold. I'm going to disengage the autopilot, go ahead and finish out the landing. You really appreciate the use of instruments when the weather gets bad. A lot of fun to do. Remind me the next time to turn off the radio identifier, will you? It's getting annoying. In any event, there we go. We've used the GPS to kind of verify what we're doing during this little practice run. So there you have it.